Long before the name America was ever whispered, a group of nomads crossed a frozen land bridge called Beringia. They didn't know it, but their journey would begin the long, tangled story of a nation not yet born. This is not just U.S. history, it's human resilience written in snow and fire. These early settlers didn't just survive, they thrived. Over thousands of years, their descendants built great cultures: Mississippian mound cities, Iroquois confederacies, Pueblo adobe towns. Each nation spoke a different language, worshipped different spirits, but all were deeply tied to the land they called home. When Spanish colonizers forced their religion and rule onto Pueblo peoples, resistance erupted. In 1680, they rose in unity, burning churches, expelling invaders. For 12 years, Santa Fe was Pueblo again. Their victory wasn't just military, it was spiritual, a bold stand for dignity. In 1607, English settlers landed in Virginia, calling their new home Jamestown. But this land was unforgiving. British taxed tea, stamps, and everyday life without asking colonial consent. No taxation without representation echoed from town halls to taverns. In 1773, Boston rebels dumped crates of British tea into the harbor. The message? This land would not kneel. The war began with muskets and hope. In freezing camps and brutal battles, George Washington led an army of farmers and tailors against the world's strongest empire. Victory at Saratoga brought France to their side. The revolution wasn't easy, but it was real. President Jefferson bought Louisiana from France for $15 million, doubling America overnight. It was a diplomatic gamble and a door flung wide open. From New Orleans to the Rockies, a new frontier called. But this land was not empty. It was lived on and sacred to many. Slavery split the Union. In 1861, Southern states seceded. War erupted. Brother fought brother. Fields became graves. But in 1863, Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation gave the war a soul: freedom. When the Union won in 1865, the U.S. remained united, but forever changed. Trains roared, factories smoked, and cities soared. The U.S. became an industrial titan. In 1898, after war with Spain, America gained Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines. The frontier moved from west to overseas. A republic was becoming an empire. America fought in 2 world wars, sending soldiers across oceans and dropping bombs that ended empires. Between them came the Great Depression, hunger lines, broken banks, shattered hopes. It was a test of willpower and of what kind of country America wanted to be. After World War II, the U.S. faced a new enemy, the Soviet Union. It was a war of spies, nukes, and fear. But at home, another fight brewed: Black Americans demanding rights long denied. Sit-ins, marches, courage. The American dream finally asked to include everyone. On September 11, 2001, the sky shattered. Towers fell. America bled. The war on terror began. Wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, searching for justice, security, and identity. Then in 2008, the economy collapsed. This century began not with triumph, but reckoning. History didn't end. It's unfolding now, in classrooms, protests, policy debates. The United States is still young, still learning. Its greatest strength? Not perfection, but the ability to change. So the question isn't what the past was, it's what will you make of the future? The Vietnam War began with promises of stopping communism, but it ended in doubt, division, and loss. Young Americans were drafted. Protests swept universities. Images of napalm and helicopters haunted a generation. When Saigon fell in 1975, America asked, "What did we win and what did we lose?" While soldiers fought abroad, women fought at home for equality, opportunity, and choice. From Betty Friedan to Roe v. Wade, the second wave of feminism cracked old norms. The fight wasn't just about jobs, it was about being heard, about saying, "We're not behind you, we stand beside you." In 1972, a break-in at the Watergate complex unraveled the presidency of Richard Nixon. Lies, tapes, cover-ups until the president resigned in disgrace. It was more than a scandal. It was a crack in public trust and a reminder, in a democracy, no one is above the law. The 1980s brought Ronald Reagan, Hollywood charm, and a new wave of conservatism. Deregulation, Cold War bravado, and trickle-down economics reshaped the nation. But behind the boom, cracks widened, poverty, AIDS, and racial divides. The decade danced to a soundtrack of optimism and unease. In the shadows of progress, a new virus emerged. AIDS ravaged communities, especially gay men, while the government stayed silent. Activists fought not just illness, but ignorance. Names were lost, quilts were sewn, and slowly the world began to listen. In 1989, the Berlin Wall crumbled. The Cold War ended. America stood alone as the world's superpower. But what would it do with that power? Peace wasn't automatic. It had to be earned, and the global order was shifting fast. September 11th, 2001, planes struck the Twin Towers. Smoke rose, sirens wailed. The nation watched in horror and in unity. That day redefined safety, foreign policy, and fear. It launched 2 wars, and it left a wound that still aches. As towers fell, another world was rising, digital, global, instant. The internet reshaped how Americans worked, loved, and fought. Social media gave everyone a voice, and sometimes a mob. Tech giants rose, privacy faded, the world shrank and sped up. Banks collapsed. Jobs vanished. Families lost homes. The Great Recession hit like a wave. Wall Street gambled, and Main Street paid. It wasn't just numbers. It was trust, shattered again. Hope felt fragile, but in crisis came a new voice. In 2008, America elected its first black president. Barack Obama rose on a message of hope and change. It was a milestone, born from centuries of struggle. But hope alone wasn't enough. The nation still wrestled with race, fear, and division. In the 2010s, America's unity frayed. Red and blue became rivals. Social media fueled outrage. Facts blurred. Protests rose on streets, on screens. Politics turned personal. The idea of a United States felt more like a question than a promise. A silent enemy swept the world. Streets emptied, hospitals filled. Americans wore masks, mourned losses, and reimagined daily life. Teachers taught through screens. Families hugged through glass. It was lonely, chaotic, and brave. In isolation, a strange kind of unity emerged. From land bridges to live streams, the American story has never been straight. It bends, breaks, heals, repeats. But every chapter has something in common. People, struggling, rising, rebuilding. And now it's your turn. What chapter will you write? On January 6th, 2021, the U.S. Capitol, heart of democracy, was stormed. Chaos replaced debate. Flags became fists. Elected officials hid. The world watched a nation confront itself. And America asked, Is democracy still strong when it's under siege from within? Despite the noise, some voices grew louder, young people marching for climate justice, survivors of school shootings demanding reform, workers organizing for dignity. History isn't always written in marble halls. Sometimes it's chanted in the streets by those too brave to quit. From Ferguson to George Floyd, the nation faced its unfinished business. Black lives demanded to matter. Monuments fell. Stories long buried came to light. Change moved slowly, but it moved. A country founded in contradiction kept trying to live up to its own promise. From boardrooms to ballots, women broke barriers. Kamala Harris became the first female vice president. Scientists led pandemic responses. Movements like #Me Too redefined silence. But the goal was never power for its own sake. It was justice, and a seat at the table that had been theirs all along. Latino voices, immigrant dreams, they're shaping America's future. In factories, on farms, in classrooms, and in Congress, they're reimagining the promise of this land, not as newcomers, but as builders. America has never been one thing, and that is its strength. They grew up online, but they're not just scrolling, they're organizing. Gen Z fights climate change with hashtags and legislation. They create movements through memes, mock injustice with humor, build futures with code. In their hands, history uploads fast, and it can't be erased. AI is no longer science fiction. It's shaping elections, writing headlines, making decisions. The question isn't just what it can do, but who controls it. Will it empower truth or deepen divides? The tools we build could become mirrors or weapons. Wildfires roar, seas rise, ice melts. The earth doesn't wait for politics. In storms and silence it speaks, change or lose everything. But hope still burns in solar panels, in protest songs, in reforested hills. This isn't someone else's fight, it's all of ours. America was never perfect, it was always a promise. One that each generation must renew, not through nostalgia, but through courage. The courage to face truth, to listen, to rebuild. A nation stitched together by hope will fray, but it can also mend. This isn't just history, it's a handoff. From those who crossed icy bridges to you. What will you defend? What will you change? The past gave you pages. The future waits for ink. What kind of America will you help write? From Hollywood to hip-hop, from Silicon Valley to Broadway, the world watches, listens, and copies America. Its culture is export and influence, rebellion and rhythm. But culture isn't just created in studios. It pulses from city streets, immigrant kitchens, and protest chants. But influence comes with weight. What happens in America ripples worldwide. A tweet can move markets. A law in Texas can spark protests in Europe. People look to the U.S., not because it's perfect, but because its choices still shape what comes next. Schools, concerts, churches, gun violence turned sacred places into battlegrounds. For every headline, there's a family that doesn't get to turn the page. America debates rights and reasons. But to many, the cost feels one-sided. Grief doesn't care for politics. In small towns and cities, people still gather: church, mosque, synagogue, temple. America's spiritual map is vast. Faith here is freedom, to question, to follow, to leave. Sometimes it divides, but often it comforts. It reminds many that something larger still matters. The American family is changing. 2 moms, single dads, grandparents raising children, chosen families bound by love, not blood. Tradition didn't vanish, it evolved. What matters now? Care, stability, connection. The table's still there, it just has more chairs. Beyond skyscrapers and superhighways, small towns beat with a different rhythm. Farmers, truckers, teachers, they aren't on magazine covers, but they feed, connect, and teach a nation. Their pride is in land, loyalty, and legacy. Forget them, and America forgets itself. From the light bulb to Mars rovers, America chases the impossible. Engineers, tinkerers, dreamers, they don't ask, can we? But when? Silicon Valley boomed, SpaceX soared, biotech cured. Innovation is messy, bold, and relentless, and it's far from finished. Jazz rose from black sorrow, rock echoed rebellion, country sang of roots, rap shouted truth. American music has always been more than sound. It's memory, resistance, hope. When people couldn't speak, they sang, and the world listened. The border isn't just a line, it's a question. Who belongs? Who decides? Along fences and deserts, families reunite and separate. Yet from that tension, hybrid cultures bloom. Spanglish, fusion foods, border art. The edge of America is also its heartbeat. Is freedom just a flag, or is it healthcare? Is it speech or the power to be heard? For some, it's guns. For others, it's safety. For many, it's dignity. Freedom still matters, but now more than ever, it demands definition, because it tries, it stumbles, it breaks, but it mends. Because in its mess, it holds multitudes. Because its story is still being written by kids in classrooms, workers at dawn, voters in line, not perfect, not finished, but still fighting for better. Dear future, we didn't always get it right, but we kept going. We argued, we cried, we built. We left stories, songs, mistakes, and triumphs. We tried to leave you more light than shadow. And now it's your turn. Be bold, be kind, begin again. We inherit more than just land and laws. We carry the words of ancestors, the scars of injustice, the dreams left unfinished. History lives in our decisions, in who we love, what we fight for, and what we refuse to forget. The past isn't behind us, it walks beside us. You don't need to be a president to change history. Rosa Parks sat. A student wrote, a worker spoke up. One small act, done with courage, can start a wave. The power of one person, multiplied by conviction, can move an empire. Never believe you're too small. Remembering history isn't just for museums. It's how we stay human, how we learn. The Holocaust, slavery, genocide, they don't belong to the past alone. They warn us. They whisper, don't repeat me. To forget is to risk starting over in the darkest way. Futures aren't found, they're built. Every law passed, every silence kept, every vote missed, writes what comes next. Technology may change, but values, we decide those. History is a river, yes, but we choose where to steer the boat. Across oceans, people still look to America, not for perfection, but for possibility. When it rises above hate, when it admits wrong, when it dares to try again, it inspires. The world doesn't need an empire, it needs example. Will we give it one? Being American isn't about paperwork. It's about participation. Speaking up, showing up, helping neighbors, defending truth. True citizenship isn't passive, it's daily, messy, brave. The flag doesn't wave for silence, it waves for action. America has broken its promises, but it has also tried to mend them. Civil rights, marriage equality, truth commissions. Change isn't always fast, but it's possible. This country doesn't erase its sins. It confronts them, and sometimes it heals. Freedom isn't a trophy, it's a garden. It withers if ignored. It needs tending, pruning, protecting. Every generation must pull its weeds, plant new seeds. No one is finished. We're just stewards of the next harvest. It's not in monuments. It's in how we treat strangers, how we handle truth, whether we protect the weak when no one's watching. The soul of a nation lives not in history books, but in everyday choices. Tomorrow won't wait. It won't build itself. It's waiting for builders, healers, challengers, not perfect ones, just willing ones. And that might just be you. So here we are. A long road, a messy truth, a remarkable hope. America has always been becoming, broken, rebuilt, reborn. The story isn't over, the page is blank, so grab the pen and begin again. Belonging isn't just being born somewhere, it's being seen, valued, protected. For some, America has always felt like home. For others, it's something they've had to fight for. A nation must do more than include. It must embrace. History isn't just top-down, it's side by side. A factory worker can teach courage. A refugee can teach gratitude. A grandmother can teach resilience. America grows stronger when it listens, not just to the powerful, but to each other. Bravery isn't always on battlefields. It's a nurse working double shifts, a teacher defending truth, a neighbor standing up to hate. Quiet courage shapes nations more than we know. Heroes aren't rare, we just don't always see them. Skyscrapers are impressive, but so are soup kitchens, so are community gardens, so are libraries filled with kids chasing better futures. America's greatness isn't measured in weapons or wealth, but in what we build together when no one demands it of us. We're more connected than ever, but are we more understanding? Social media can divide or unite. It can tear down or lift up. The future won't just be technological, it must also be humane. Not every lesson is loud. Sometimes history whispers, in the silence of graves, in the pause before apology, in the spaces between laws and justice. If we learn to listen, we just might hear what needs to change. In a world of chaos, choosing joy is radical. Dancing in the streets, loving loudly, dreaming anyway. Joy refuses to surrender. America has wept, but it has also sung, and that music is its magic. The past isn't dangerous. Silence is. Teaching real history doesn't divide us. It arms us with understanding. When we hide our wrongs, we rob the next generation of wisdom. Truth isn't shame, it's soil where growth begins. The story of America has always had many authors. Native leaders, enslaved poets, immigrant scientists, disabled activists. Every voice, a verse, every struggle, a sentence, every dream, a chapter. It was never just one story, it was all of ours. We don't pass on wealth or weapons. We pass on courage, curiosity, compassion. That's the real inheritance. If we protect it, every generation holds the match. Will we burn bridges or light paths? America isn't just a battle between red and blue. It's a patchwork of grays, greens, golds, of cultures, ideas, and dreams. Some days it argues. Some days it listens. And some days, it dances together. Unity doesn't mean sameness, it means strength through difference. Strength isn't domination, it's restraint. It's knowing you can shout, but choosing to listen. It's power used to protect. The strongest nations aren't the loudest, they're the most just. And justice begins with empathy. It's not just something you are, it's something you do. Voting, questioning, creating, helping. Being American isn't passive, it's active. It means showing up, Even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, America has made mistakes, deep ones. But it has also tried to make amends. Forgiveness doesn't erase the past. It reshapes the future. Redemption isn't weakness. It's responsibility. Second chances don't come easy, but they come. In every library, there's a revolution waiting. Every banned book, a voice that won't stay silent. The truth has enemies, but it also has shelves. America's story is strongest when it isn't censored, but questioned. Don't burn books, open them. Not all patriots wear flags. Some grow food. Some teach math. Some drive through storms to deliver medicine. Quiet doesn't mean weak. It means steady. If you've ever kept going when no one was watching, you're part of this story too. It's easier to rage than repair, but healing, a wounded relationship, a divided town, a broken system, takes guts. America can't heal through blame, only through work. And work starts with listening. Disagreement isn't destruction. Debate built this country. What breaks us isn't difference, it's disrespect. You can love your country and still demand it do better. That's not betrayal, that's patriotism. Those 3 words weren't written for some of us, they were written for all of us. Over time, we the people has stretched, struggled, and expanded. But the sentence still stands. And now it includes you. This isn't the end of the story, it's the middle. The next chapter waits for your voice, your vote, your vision. The ink is fresh, the paper is blank. What happens next is up to us. Every footstep on this land leaves an echo. From ancient hunters to modern voters, from enslaved ancestors to future leaders, America is not a fixed shape. It is sound, movement, story, and now your voice joins the chorus. No perfect hero is coming. No flawless leader will fix it all. It's us, ordinary, stubborn, hopeful people. We are the answer. We are the ones we've been waiting for, and that is enough. History is not a cage, it's a compass. Don't just remember it, use it. Let it make you wiser, kinder, louder. Let it remind you that the most American thing you can do is try again. Thank you for walking through the centuries with me, for staying curious, for opening your heart. If this story moved you, let it move others. Share it, talk about it, rewrite it. History lives in those who remember and rise. This was not just a timeline, it was a mirror, and maybe, just maybe, a map